Hi everyone. So, like I mentioned in my last vid, that I wanted to tackle a few more kind of direct subjects for kind of lessons for self. Well, not for self, but basically, it's a general code that I live by more so that tackles the actual factors that make my life a lot easier and a lot more functional for me, anyway. And I'm hoping that these little vids will help people who are in my similar situation apply some kind of logic to situations at work, and basically it'll give the kind of ideas platform, let's say, to step off of and work for themselves. They can change and mold these ideas so that they're more flexible with the person. Because I find that, especially for people with Asperger's and just everyone in general, everything you've always got to work things out for yourself and work out what works for you or not. So, in no way are these a set of rules that have to be followed to the T. This is my understanding of existence and life for me and what I do to work with them. So, I'm hoping this will help other people with Asperger's. I seem to have had a very supportive upbringing, which has given me the courage, I guess, to step out of my own circle and really develop my own techniques that work for me. So I'm going to start with basic understandings of life for myself and where most of my ideas start from. Alright, so basically, oh, sneaky little dog. Basically, most of my understandings start from the understanding that life is balance. This is my dog Jack. Hey, great companions, dogs. Alright, so my understanding that everything in life is a balance. It, I don't know if I worked this out before I actually started reading into Buddhism or not. I suspect that I already worked this out myself, which will come from an understanding that I'm going to tackle in my next video, which is truths. But first, let's just start with life. All right, life is for me equational in balance. Yeah, trust someone with autism to go to the logical side of things. But I don't think, I think logic is basically something we were taught to by the planet and existence. Anyway, back on the balance. So I've written again, yet again, in my book. I've got a bigger book around here somewhere that has all my thoughts and things from last year, which I should probably delve back into that. It's got a lot of good understandings. But for now, let's just stick with what I've been writing lately. Alright, so the key to life. The key to life really has a lot to do with the balance. In emotions to logic, material to spirit, self to others, ground to sky, action to thoughts, and so on. It continues on. You can pretty much apply the theory of balance to everything. Hence my 3 point rule, which I actually been developing myself, which is that everything is based in a 3 point rule, which is very much like the basics of maths, like 1, 0, and -1. 0 being the center of balance. People often say you can't personify life completely, but I feel this is only because A, personifying anything will open said subject to endless complexities, which I do not see as being a problem because we can understand a fraction of something and still utilize it to our advantage, such as we only understand a fraction of physics. I mean, it's going and going and going and going. I mean, for God's sakes, if we prove string theory, the shit we could do. Uh, anyway, yeah, so basically, I feel that a lot of people say that you can't personify the existence because basically making it into logical understandings because it's an endless complexity. So I feel that this is true, but we do this with everything. We barely understand the concept of lots of things. Like engines, for instance, we've barely understood them for a long time, yet we were still using them. And the technology has been stunted lately, but it's still got a lot of endless potential. But we've actually moved on to hybrid versions of technology, like the hybrid engines that are coming out that are combining a small amount of petrol with diesel into the same chamber to cause more effect. Now, that's more technology being evolved within um, engines, but we also added computer technology to get better performance and so on. And B, people often don't like the truths that are proven, especially when it challenges their beliefs. We humans are such mortal, have such mortal beliefs of such beautiful. Sorry, we humans have such fragile mortal beliefs, which is surprising since we're such a beautiful, unique race. Now, so for me, I've tried to use um, truths that come balance to balance my life out. Like I felt that a lot of people with Asperger's tend to spend too much time on their skill set. They tend to rely too heavily on their abilities and never delve into fields that are too difficult for them. It's quite funny because most people tend to spend their entire lives relying only on their strengths. I don't agree with this. I tend to work on my weaknesses so they're no longer weaknesses. Not to mention, I don't think people really have a weakness. Like, there's this kind of thing where people get very threatened if their weaknesses are exposed. Yet I am constantly opening up to people and exposing my weaknesses. But the truth is, it's not a weakness because, well, I know what it is. I know what my weaknesses are. And so I intentionally intend to fix them. And if anyone utilizes that weakness, they've just shown me that A, they're not someone worth being around, and B, that it is something that I need to learn to not give into. For example, being easily antagonized is a weakness. People that rely on their strength too much tend to become too egocentrical on their strength and abilities. So if you antagonize them, it's so easy to actually manipulate them. Not that I do. I mostly disagree with manipulation of anyone in any way. There's only suggestion and influence in my way of thinking. Anyway, what's another part of this? So let's go into the balance of emotions. Emotions are quite a complex um, part of life, and it's the driving force for most people to actually do anything with their lives. I believe in the first decide, then act, because emotions behind the thought will help at first, but you also need to maintain them. But my point is that it's a balance. You can't always just think about things, and you can't always just do them. You need to think of them a little bit, and you need to do them a little bit, and then kind of build it up. And I'm not talking about the kind of thinking that is negative or positive. I'm thinking just nice, clear thoughts. Being able to go, stop, think, okay, yep, I'm going to try this angle now and see how it goes. Then experience by acting on that thought. and then see how it goes, and then stop, process the information, and then work forward. I used to be a big thinker. I used to think a lot more than I needed to, and it really caused a lot of trouble. I actually I actually got uh, this tattoo when I went to Thailand to actually make sure that I stopped doing and stopped thinking and did a bit more. Basically, the actual phrase on it is strength alone, will alone, referring to the balance that strength of body and action is good so long as it is balanced out with will being thought and determination. And I believe this to be very true. I know that a lot of people with Asperger's in my position tend to um, spend a lot of time thinking about things, and that's all good, but you can't do it all the time. Ultimately, thinking will only benefit your mind. It's like overusing one singular muscle. Like if I only use my left hand to ever pick up anything in the world, I'd become left-sided, and I'd be unbalanced. I wouldn't be able to use both hands correct to get optimized effect. So it's really about balance. I believe everything in life is balance. Everything is best to be taken in moderation, but not to be ignored. I don't agree with a lot of religions banning alcohol and drugs, like cigarettes and whatever, because I think that everything should be experienced because some things that don't work for others will work for you. And some things that won't work for you and that could be dangerous will work for others. I'm not really against drugs in a lot of forms, but I'm against addiction of drugs. What's that old saying? Don't hate the person, hate the action. Like with Hitler, for instance, I don't hate the person. When I've read up on his site profile, I could understand how he kind of painted himself into a corner with his own thoughts and emotions. I hate the actions. His actions were brutal and fictitious and fucked up, really. But I don't hate the person. The person was just human. The action was what I hated, and that's what made him evil. Was the action was evil. The person himself was just a human being, only given power by his sway over people, and people gave him that power. So it really makes you think about who we should actually support and who we should listen to. I don't disagree with listening to anyone or everyone. I think everyone should be heard, but in the end, it's your decision whether to follow it or agree with it. There's a lot of people that didn't agree with what Hitler had said at first, and they left Germany because of it. They saw the war coming and they left intentionally. But now they are the people I think who had an individual thought and actually um, acted on the decision, on their thoughts. Let's see. Anyway, I think that's a good first step for anyone who wants to work on themselves and really develop a first name basis with that. Anyway, see you guys.